Welcome back. Now, welcome back to some more handkerchief stories. Stories from the 70s, anyway. Um, it's no secret to anybody that knows me that I'm probably the biggest Sinatra fan ever. And I'd like to tell you about my near brush with greatness. My almost meeting him is as close as you can get. But this is a great story. In the 70s, we had handkerchiefs going pretty good. And also, the Westchester Premier Theater was going pretty good down in Terrytown, Elmsford area. We went to a lot of shows down there. We saw some big names, and I got to see Sinatra there a few times. And I got to see him twice when he was appearing with Dean Martin. One night we went there to see Sinatra and Dean Martin, and it was in the summertime. And it was a great show, great show. And the next morning, Cindy and I, we about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, we decided to go to Friendly's for breakfast. Friendly's in Mount Kisco. So we had a nice breakfast there, and we're coming out, and already the heat of the day is on us. And as we walk out the front door of Friendly's, this guy Frank that owns the liquor store, Frank Chima, that owns the liquor store across the street from Friendly's next to Conti's Fish Market. He's standing there and he sees me. He says, Hank, quick. He says, we're not going to talk to you. So I crossed the street and I said, what's the matter? He looked distressed. And we used to buy some liquor on the side, from Frank for our restaurant, stuff that we didn't have to report. Shh. Anyway, he says, Frank, what are you putting in a margarita? I says, come on, Frank, you know what you put in a margarita. You put tequila and triple sec or Cointreau. He says, no, I mean, what do you use for the mix? I says, well, down at the restaurant, we got a gun that spits out the sour mix in it, or we have a package that you mix with water. I says, why? Why are you asking me? He says, Sinatra wants margaritas today. Now, when Sinatra was playing in the area, anywhere around here, he always stayed at Bennett Cerf's house on Orchard Road. He stood there for years, very, very close with Bennett Cerf and his wife, Phyllis. But when he was with people like, Dean Martin and stuff like that, the cottage wasn't big enough on the Bennett Cerf estate. So he used to stay in the Bronfman estate off of Byron Lake Road, which is the Bronfman's the guy that owned Seagram's at the time. So they were staying at that big estate off Byron Lake Road. And so he said, Sinatra wants margaritas today, and the butler doesn't know how to make them up there. So, and he doesn't have the juice to make them. So I said, hang on, I'll go get you back. So I ran down to the restaurant. I got a package of this stuff, which would make a couple of gallons. I figured that would have been enough. And I brought it back up to Frank Chima, and I said, here, send this over. He says, Hank, can I ask you, can I do me one more big favor? I says, what? He says, can you run over there and make the margaritas? The butler doesn't know how to do it, So I says, yeah, of course. Are you kidding me? So Cindy and I jump in the car, and we go to the Bronfman estate, and we were told when we got there to go around to the side by the butler's pantry, which we did. We went around there. We went inside. I met the butler, and I was explaining what's going on. I kept looking out the window in the back. So he says, all right, come on. He says, come over here. And he says, I'll get you as close as I can. And we walked to the back of the place, and there was a little veranda out there overlooking a tennis court, a putting green, and then a little bit down the hill was this swimming pool. And like I say, it's right now it's 12:30, 1:45, and it is hot. It's 100 degrees. And at this swimming pool, in Jay's Lounge is Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Robert Merrill sitting around the pool. And on the four corners of the pool were guys in suits, the bodyguards, wearing black suits with ties. And it just cracked me up that they're, dressed like that. But that's as close as I got to meeting Sinatra, watching him at the pool and me standing a bit away from the pool. And I made the margaritas up for the guys. And the butler brought them down, and they had their margaritas. So while I didn't actually meet Sinatra, I did make margaritas for him. So that's a plus. Those are great days, though. Great days.